chatWater, the show where we chat all things Blackwater.
Yes.
Welcome back, Matt, aka Kokenee Lightkeeper, aka Kokenee Buckwild. He's here to play from the M&K.
Oh,
It's the
well
treasure
done.
hunter.
Well done.
The trip with a whip. And his wife, the nun with a gun. Nepisiet. I just came up with that. I like that
you
one.
are on fire.
None with
today.
a gun is
None with a
very
gun.
good.
Yes, very good. Yeah, welcome to Chatwater, babies. I'm starting the timer. 30 minutes. Talking about the previous episode. We're doing it. Also, you can see that Matt and I are both very seriously dressed to talk about lore today.
Very serious.
Very serious.
Sorry, I want to talk about None with a Gun, because I feel like realistically that's just a class that should be a homebrew for campaign 2 if the world is still around. Like out of Dresda, if like the main two religious groups are the fucking Nepisiet and Arathis, that's nuns, that's guns.
Important
Put them
question.
together.
Hell yeah.
If you guys have a kid, which religion are you going to try and convince him to be part of?
Neppy will not try and convince either of their children to join any religion. That will have to be a journey for themselves.
If you have a male, half human, half tiefling,
that's not how tieflings work in this world.
Well, then how do tieflings work in this world?
Tiefling lineage is like, it's like all or nothing. So like,
so you just have like a regular kid.
It would either be like human or tiefling. In this universe,
that's
how it
human.
works.
Not a human. It's a faith forge.
Yeah, a robot.
Human skin stretched tightly over a metallic frame.
Yeah. Well, it would be a like the way that tiefling lineage works is that it's kind of like sometimes it's a fluke. Sometimes somebody in your bloodline has made a deal. And that could be way in the past for power. That could be for.
It could be born a tiefling, but it could be born a human. There's no half.
There's no halves.
So if you have a human child,
Nepisiet
won't even really be an option because that's not really done.
There's been one human, it was a fluke situation, but it was the only priest of Nepisiet.
So it was a male and a human.
Yes, but that was because of a prophecy. It was prophesied that a young boy would be left on the steppes, which is just like doesn't happen, and it would be a young human boy left on the steppes, and he would play a part in greatness. So he was to be treasured and honored.
Pretty lucky for him that there was that prophecy. Otherwise, they would have been like, no thanks.
They probably would have raised him and then not sent him to Dresda, but like they would have brought him to Dresda and been like, this is not we can't.
Also, I'm pretty sure if you Googled "nun with a gun," it's like a movie from the '80s because they used to make shit like that back then.
There's also like there is a Spanish movie. I think it's like not a telenovela, but it's a it's definitely like a Spanish action movie that is a nun with a gun for sure.
As loath as I am to not dig into that more, I do just want to say, Matt, you've been conspicuously silent. It sounds like your wife is deferring whether she's going to induct potentially your children into her side, leaving the net wide open for Arathis, as far as I can tell.
I think that's something that's different about this like
all of a sudden
D&D
feels
religion.
Like a presidential debate. Matt, you have the floor.
Absolutely.
Matt.
That's what happened when you wear blazers.
90 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
I think the fundamental difference between religion in, D&D and religion in other sort of like, reality world is that like both of our gods absolutely 100% exist. And so there isn't sort of that if we had fundamentally different religions where Neppy was like, well, I'm not certain that like Arathis exists, and I was like, I'm not sure that Nepisiet, or Kokenee's like, I'm not sure that Nepisiet exists. There could be a lot of conflict there, but in this world where it's sort of like they both exist, and high priesthood and high priestesshood aren't hereditary things.
No.
So you can sort of raise somebody with reverence and belief in both gods without requiring them to become a cleric of one faith or the other.
Absolutely.
They
Agreed.
can sort of be their own people.
And I think too.
Not imposing your your opinions on your children. That sounds pretty lame.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Like there are. Sorry.
I feel like Neppy would never want for the situation would have to be that they would have to have a daughter first, like a firstborn daughter who was tiefling. So that's the condition set, and then Neppy would have to leave her on the steps. And there's no guarantee that that to be brought up in the religion, like that's how you do it. And Neppy's not going to leave her child. Like she's not going to do that. So I don't ever think Neppy wants to put the pressure of her faith on anyone unless it's a choice.
Campaign 2 character is Nepthisicet's tiefling daughter, who was not placed on the steps and hidden away by her high priestess mother so that she could raise her as her own. And she's the one that they've been waiting for. And Neppy just fucked up because she didn't want to give up her kid.
No, I think that like if there, like for Neppy, if they had a tiefling firstborn daughter and the daughter wanted to follow Nepthisicet, Neppy would be so supportive and so fostering of that, but there would never be any pressure to take on any rank, do any work like that she does. It's like, because Neppy knows how hard it is. It's not an easy position. And like, I know me personally, I would never force any of my own beliefs on my child, my current child. So why would I ever, in a fantasy setting, force any?
Because it's fantasy.
Because it's fantasy. No,
because it's maybe you live out the fantasy of indoctrinating a child.
I didn't get to do this in my real life,
and it's
so
not Neppy's fantasy either.
Well, you're missing out.
I know.
As like the final 5 level arc for Letters, he's just going to start investing in orphanages and just taking place, just mass indoctrination. We're going to get a lot of pyramid schemes. You get them young. That's what we call a foundation.
Wow.
I'll just be like really it's a cult at that point.
The great thing is when you get in early, you don't really have to do the work because the people below you, they do all the work. So
exactly.
It's a true multi-level marketing scheme.
It's fantastic.
Because this is the thing. I mean, I imagine a lot of orphans in Dresden, a lot of people died. They'll be like, oh, thank God, someone finally opened up an orphanage. How philanthropic of you, Letters. And I'm like, yes, it was completely not at all self-serving. And then
Letters, Lord of the Lost.
And exactly. God. And once you get it, once you break, because the thing is about the orphanage biz is it's all about who you know. And it's hard to get your foot in the door. But once you've established yourself in the biz, as we call it, then
as we call it, that's
Yeah. In the orphanage biz.
Should we talk about the previous episode? We should probably do that. We only have 22 minutes, so
what are we going to talk about for the rest of the 22 minutes?
I'm saying if we had a few. No, I'm
okay.
Yeah. We did. Vecna, what up with that guy?
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah.
I still think you guys should have taken it.
No.
Should have taken that hand.
That's a crazy thought.
No.
That's a crazy person.
It's a very
crossing the
hand.
iron and the salt. Absolutely not.
To take that hand, you need to walk over those bad circles.
Oh, okay. So listen, I had a thought.
Okay.
Right. You guys are painting poor Allura in a pretty sort of, bad light here. This is my thought. The only thing that you guys have that makes you think Allura is bad is the fact that she was holding Limerick against his will. Right?
Yep.
Other than that, you just wandered into her house and she's got a bunch of weird spooky shit.
Yep.
But other than that, we don't know that she's bad. We've seen that she keeps bad things locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Limerick was locked up.
Oh!
All I'm saying is
Limerick did steal our shit.
Yeah, and she does seem to be working for Arathis. And who else was Arathis keeping locked up? the Raven Queen.
That's not how that works.
No, Arathis wasn't keeping the Raven Queen locked up.
No,
And the Raven Queen wasn't
the Raven.
bad.
He was protecting the Raven Queen.
Arathis.
She made a tune, right? Wait, not Arathis.
Nephisicate made the tune.
Yeah, but
created the tune with the Raven Queen.
the guy who was there.
Aegis was Ioun's.
Aegis. Sorry, Ioun's. I mean Ioun. I don't mean Arathis. I mean Ioun.
Okay.
Ioun was kind of like protecting the Raven Queen, keeping
not
her
necessarily
there.
No.
And then when the guy went away, that's when she left and became the Matron of Vengeance.
No, the only thing, like, the Matron of Vengeance wasn't even on the material plane. Like, had no interaction because she was locked in the negative energy plane. The only thing that got her out of the negative energy plane was us.
No, I know, but I'm saying, what was he doing? What was Aegis doing there then?
Well, let me cycle back, because I think your argument loses steam at this point. But what is really compelling is what we know. She keeps bad things.
Yes.
And the first thing we met from her was nice to us, except he stole from us. So he could be one of these many bad things. If she has a portal to hell, we don't know where Limerick came from. But he did. He was crushing pretty hard on someone he had basically no relationship with. And that is a yellow flag if ever I heard one.
Prisoner his whole life. He has no
We don't know how long that is.
Doesn't mean he's good.
Doesn't mean he's good. Like that demon from hell was probably kept prisoner. And he wasn't
same
red
with the
either.
dude with the fucking dead hand.
That guy's been kept prisoner for probably eons. He's probably a bad dude. Maybe she has a
Sean. What I'm gonna say is that we don't know that she keeps bad things as much as we know that I think the most likely is that she keeps powerful things.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
I'm not sure that we're because we've seen the Vecna hand.
Yeah.
That guy, bad guy.
Bad
Guaranteed
jamma
100%.
jamma.
The devil that came out, devil is bad, but we also don't know whether or not that was just a spell that like pulled a devil, from the plane.
Could be like
some super
greater
powerful spell, or whether or not she actually has a collection. Yeah. So possible, but not guaranteed. So we've seen a bad thing, and we know that there is at least another person. I think the going idea is she keeps powerful things.
Mm-hmm.
And learns about them and uses to control them.
Because like a changeling,
and I think you are right.
Is powerful. Their innate body structure, allowing them to take on the visage of other beings, that's inherently so powerful. And for a creator or a scientist or a person of her intelligence who is creating things, why would you not want to harness that? That's like terrifying and awful, but like, why would you not want to harvest that? And in Tim's world too, changelings are often exploited. Like Seven was quite exploited for their changeling ability, not by a mage, but by a thieves guild. And then they broke free of that. So, yeah, exploited.
I'm just saying. She seems to be keeping bad things. She seems to have a lot of like religious connection.
No, I'm swung around to Matt. Powerful is the word.
Yeah.
We don't know if they're bad, because those big balls are just big danger balls.
Because
I mean, they're big danger balls, guys. That is
big danger balls.
It's not innately bad.
Better than tiny death balls.
Which she also keeps.
No. But I think this also ties to like the way that the universe was created. This is like the deep lore, the deep lore that Tim and I have worked on a bit. Now there's spoilers in it, so I haven't seen all of it. I've seen up to like the age before, like we're talking like the eons and how Tim's universe was created. Like Tim's like having his real Aslan moment of the deep magics. But in this universe, originally magic was only accessible by those in tune with nature, and then after that was only in tune with the divine. So wizards and sorcerers came later. So there has always been a sense of, not jealousy, but a sense of limitation to who gets to access the great magics. right? So like if you think about it, depending on how, we have no idea how old Alora is. Like we have no idea. She could be old as fucking dirt, or she could have a knowledge that is from, the ages of past. And if you've been kept from the secrets of the divine for so long and you see their utility, like cleric magic, divine magic, exceedingly powerful. But if you're a wizard, you don't have access to that. So why not, if you have the tools available, harness that power? If you have access to the knowledge, if you have access to Caraxian technology, which was innately divine, use it and blend it with the arcane to make it something way more powerful. Why cut yourself off from an avenue of magic if it serves you use? I don't know. I think there was Jen that said something last night that was just kind of like, talking about, not that she's afraid of death, but she's afraid of her work not being done. And like when Jen said that, I was like, oh yeah, like this is a woman who has a lot of, she's got plans.
This is why like I'm a little hesitant coming in here and just like wrecking all of her shit as we pass through. Is that like she's done a lot of things that give me like, oh, you're doing something bad vibes. But the reality is that it's all circumstantial evidence essentially. Like what have we actually seen of her that is evil? She has a series of traps on her house. Not evil. I'm sure getting into the gravel pit would be a similarly unpleasant experience for the wrong person.
Not yet. I haven't really had time to flesh it out just yet, but I got, yeah.
Sorry, will become.
Thank you.
Will become a similarly unpleasant experience.
It will exceed hers.
If not more creative and embarrassing. Yeah, I expect nothing less. She's making a body, which is creepy and like not super into it, but also like if we went and saw Arathis and she was building that body, like that's not an inherently bad thing. It's just bad that it makes me nervous. She pulled apart the Warforged, which likely was alive at some point with her and is a bad thing, but also like could have just died, and she could have been like, this is an opportunity for me to do this now. Like we don't know that she killed it, in the same way that like, I mean, Cogman literally died and went to Arathis to put a heart in Kokenee's chest. So like
sacrifice.
Not good, but not like guaranteed evil. And then other things like she has a collection of these antiques and the stuff from all over the world. And again, it is distasteful that she is taking these things from cultures. But and we don't know everything about Adonis's shop, but is that so fundamentally different from him, who also has an enormous collection of weird stuff that he's pulled from around the world?
Or that he even doesn't know where he.
And these aren't Kokenee thoughts. These are, these aren't Kokenee thoughts. These are like Matt thoughts of like, because Kokenee believes Limerick and inherently is like, yes, Limerick was a friend of ours and he is captured and we are going to go save him. But Matt's like, if we show up and like we find out that Limerick is not good, everything else sort of falls into place as being maybe not evil. I don't think that's likely to happen. I think it's likely that we show up and that she's super evil and that it's going to be a huge problem. But like, I don't think it's certain, and that's why I'm hesitant to just go around like breaking her shit. Like even the creepy ass room with the like pool that siphons life.
So bad.
Like there's a scenario where we're like, hey, what's with that terrible evil room? And she's like, oh, well, that's where I was going to go to siphon my own life to put myself in the crystal for the machine.
I was like, oh, that belonged to the previous owners. I haven't got around
to
renovating that. And also, you know, on that vibe of like painting Halloran not the worst thing, maybe she's got dear old creepy Vecna lad all chained up and stuff, because that's like a kinder thing to just murking this dude. We don't know if she's getting the secrets out of him. He didn't tell us anything. He just wanted freedom. Like, keeping someone bound.
He did say that he and Halora had traded secrets. Like, he did
I
say
mean,
that she often comes to him for secrets.
well,
That is the true evil guy.
Yeah.
yeah, we don't know if we necessarily trust this guy. I'm just saying, if it sounds like the only way this guy is interested in talking is let me picture this way. Had Rysel not been like super chill, he was super chill, and we loved that.
Mhm.
Letter's long-term plan, and I feel confident that Rysel is, this is a future that would not have existed. My plan was to hopefully, if he had that ring on him, it meant that we could murk him so that his soul would still be in the ring. I've been, or rather, Letters has been exploring constructs. I was going to put Rysel into a construct that was physically incapable of casting magic and just keep it as a little R2D2 in my gravel pit, so that, over the course of time, he could learn the error of his ways and turn himself around. That this could be something like that for this gentleman.
I would love to believe that. Like, that me, Emma, would love that future. I don't think that's the one that it is, but I also, like, I think maybe this is me. This is my
Sean,
meta.
that's a great idea.
Thank you.
What if she's in love with the guy who has the hand?
We don't know anything about this guy before he got all Vecna'd.
Exactly. And she's like, I just want the guy back, so I've got to figure out a way of getting him out of his body, who's now attached to this hand, and putting him in a new body.
I just now I've lost.
We
my
do
train of thought.
know
She
I've
she's
lost
comes
got
my
to
those
see
romantic
him.
visitors that she's a big fan of. That is something we have observed and didn't just make up among ourselves. She's a big romantic visitor fan.
I also think that I like knowing the way that Tim Carlson builds a villain is that it's layered and nuanced. It's not. There is rarely anybody in the universe that is purely evil to watch the world burn. There's always, like, even Velsum had a reason to watch the world burn. Like, Velsum was obviously the hero in his own story. He was doing this to rise at least in the first bit, before he went crazy because of the Chained Oblivion, was doing this to rise a group of people who were persecuted and oppressed out of serfdom, essentially. He did this also for love. Like, with Dela, the princess.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at the way that villains exist in this universe, there is always more than simply watching the world burn. Like, had we not known about Halora, had we simply chosen to, like, I don't think Blackwater would have ever done this. If we'd have simply resigned ourselves to, like, okay, Limerick's back with Halora, nothing we can do about that, Halora would have just kept on doing her thing, and we would never have known that the Iron Lyceum would have existed. It would have just been this crazy wizard in the mountains. So I don't know. I think that's why Neppy is so curious as to the why, and I love playing into those moments of naivety with her, because it's like that was the reason she was so curious about, until she realized the hand of Vecna and the eye of Vecna, like the Vecna iconography, is like, Neppy is wise, but she doesn't know much about the world. She doesn't know much about people. Well, like, she knows about people, but, like, that kind of, like, outside of her little bubble. She's still learning about that kind of stuff. So she's still learning to navigate the gray. And Halora, I think, lives in a very, very gray existence where, because she's so powerful, morality seems to slip. You're so powerful, why do you need morals anymore? Yes.
The Warforged
Yeah.
had one fucked up eye. And the eye's missing.
Wait, what?
No.
The Warforged had didn't they describe them as having an eye that was milky?
Both of them were gray. As if
But
there was no light behind them.
But I'm just saying there's... Oh, okay, because he's missing an eye, and there's a hand and an eye.
The person chained up to the wall. Yeah. Well, he's got the hand of Vecna,
Yeah.
is
And there's an
on
eye
his
as well,
hand.
isn't there?
There is an eye of Vecna, but he didn't. He might have only I don't know whether he was actually carrying the eye of Vecna as well. He was missing one from his socket,
But
which
I'm
is
saying,
generally
where is the one that is missing?
no idea.
Ooh.
So
If she's taking
like,
things
in-
from people to smush together into one thing,
Oof, I don't
and
like
you got a
that.
guy who had the hand and now is missing the eye.
in D&D lore, the eye and the hand don't always live together often, and when they come together, like the person who gets both is like god killer powerful. And so it is possible that he has done this where he had the eye and the hand, but it's also completely reasonable to think that he just had the hand. And I believe, as far as I know, something in the hand like makes you want to remove your eye,
Yes.
like and go find the eye because it wants to be reunited.
Oh, that's fun.
So like having the hand of Vecna and missing an eye is not an uncommon series of
Okay.
things to have together.
And most
It would
followers
also be
of Vecna usually
if she is
remove one
capable
eye.
of if she is capable of capturing the guy with the eye and the hand, we're in a lot of trouble. Like a lot of trouble.
I mean, here's a pitch that
'Cause-
I don't think any of us have really thought of, and I'm going to throw it down right now.
Do it. That's why we're
Say
here.
we meet Halora, and we immediately go, "Ruh-oh, Shraggy, she is too powerful." We'd be like, "Hey, check out our resume. We made it through your absurd house, and we're still alive. We didn't fuck up your thing. In fact, you're really powerful. You could use henchfolk like us. Put us to work so you don't kill us and put us behind iron salty circles forever next to Secret Boy, because I don't want to be in a room with that guy
I don't want to
again.
be next to Secrets Boy.
I do not want to be next to Secrets Boy."
That's the only prerequisite.
Callie
what you
would never
want.
be
I
on
think
board
There's
with
no
that.
secrets, boys.
Never.
Not all of us have to be.
I think that it's possible that you are right, that the eye is in her possession now. Like that has to be something that we have to be very careful about.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would be like really bad.
The hand is worse than
It
the
would
eye,
also
if I remember
guarantee
correctly,
that
though.
she was evil, which was nice.
Yeah, I
It
think
is, and it would be very surprising that she wouldn't put the hand on as well.
Well, this is what I was thinking. It's like maybe she's not powerful. Like if she's powerful enough to like, because that's a binding ritual. What she did there was she bound him with salt and iron, and the magnets are helping. So like that's a binding ritual. You can do the same thing with demons and fiends and stuff like that. From my Emma knowledge and Neppy's knowledge, like that's how you bind things. There's probably also some spells in there that she's using to do that, but maybe she's not powerful enough to remove the hand. And this is why this like the nuance of it is so why I'm so curious about it is because if she was, I don't think she's got purely good intentions, but I don't think her intentions are purely evil either, because if they were purely evil, she would have figured out a way to take the hand off that body and use it. That is one of the most powerful evilest artifacts in existence. And if she's smart enough to, as if we think she is, she would have taken that hand off fucking so fast.
Let me make a pitch.
Pitch, Sean.
This is not a joke. I feel like I've done a lot of joke pitches. But what we know about Halora, because what you said, Matt, is you put it on, you go evil. It doesn't unlock the inner evil that's always been in you. It changes you on a fundamental level.
Yes.
The way we know that this Vecna guy goes is, I give you a secret, you give me a secret. But here's my thing. Who is this guy gonna tell? He's locked up in a room that theoretically we're the first people to ever access without her permission. So, if you want the power of Vecna, Lord of Secrets, but not actually changing your personage to like do the Vecna stuff, what better way than having a Vecnite on lock, literally, and just being like, hey, here's something I learned. Who are you gonna tell? Nobody. gimme, cosmic
Give
Wikipedia.
me your evil shit. Evil
Okay,
by
so
association. I don't know. Go ahead, Matt.
so here's my pitch.
Okay.
This is the last
Halora
pitch because we have a minute.
was good. Okay.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Halora was good. For many, many, many years, was good. Followed Arathis, followed Ioun,
Ah.
stayed very close to all of that. This is where all this stuff gets built, all the stuff is designed, where all this iconography comes from.
Yeah.
What is the Ioun's like? Number one trait, search of knowledge.
Yeah.
She is a wizard, is very confident. She finds a way to summon this guy with the hand of Vecna and binds him while she is good. It's two birds for one stone because she is good and she'll have taken a bad thing off the plains. And also, she will gain access to somebody who is able to trade secrets and give her knowledge, which pursues her wizard and Ioun side very much.
I like this. Please keep
But
going.
the last bit is, why does this guy want to trade secrets? Like, what is in it for him?
Probably a
And
sexual
it is
thrill.
very possible. It's probably a sexual thrill, but the second option, because that obviously came to my mind right away, but
Yeah,
the
100%.
backup is that there is something inherently corrupting in the process of sharing secrets with this person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
over time, she repeatedly traded knowledge with this person and gained power and knowledge in exchange for her goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe the things that he told her, the secrets that he shared with her, though true, were misleading in a way that led her down a path that now she can't really come back from. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because part of me wonders,
Yes, exactly.
part of me wonders whether or not this place all started out as some sort of Caraxian outpost, hence the presence of a Warforged, hence like all of this stuff, right? Like it feels like previous, like that's why she'd have access to the Caraxian stuff. That's why like it feels like it started out as an outpost and she's been around since then, and she's just thousands of years of like being there. I like that theory, Matt. I think that's a great theory.
Because just because you're
But you don't even
intelligent doesn't mean that you have the strongest moral compass, right? Like this is like in that kind of addition to your theory, Matt. I think I love this theory. I love this theory so much. But it's like she may not have had the ability. She might be wicked fucking smart. Probably one of the smartest wizards that we'll ever come across. But she might not have had the strength of morality or didn't care.
And here's the lore question for you: What caused the Caraxians to fail and fall?
So essentially, what happened is in the last days of the Dawn War, the
Like, why would they have Vecna?
What? No. So okay. My brain is doing a thing. When in the last days of the Caraxian Empire before it fell, the Ice Titan Ishvael was like rising up to like and had essentially, Arathis had come down and was plaguing the city. These primordial titans. The Ice Titan was plaguing Caradoc and seeking to destroy, because Caradoc was the Caraxian stronghold. It was the stronghold of Arathis belief. Yes, of course, they were spread out over the entire continent to Cinderfall, beyond, obviously, with outposts up in Garyang and all over the place. But there is a vision that we see of we've talked about it here on Chatwater, is that there's a bunch of mages who come out on tensor, like essentially like Tensor's floating discs, and they kill the Ice Primordial Titan. The Ice Primordial Titan impales itself on the Mother's Eye bastion in Caradoc, and doing so, essentially, there's this giant burst out of ice, and it flash freezes Caradoc. And what it does is two things. Things number one is it separates Arathis, because Arathis is in a mortal body. She is a divine being in a mortal body at this point. Do you see where I'm going with this, Matt? Like she's in a divine being.
I mean, I've got some theories. Maybe we're on the same track.
Yeah, but like
Yeah, I'm also thinking this, but keep saying it just so we
Explain
all
it for
the
know
rest
we're
of
on the
us here.
same.
so it separates Arathis from her mortal body and locks her away in the plane of ice. Essentially, pushes her divinity into the plane of ice, locking her there and shunting her away. What it also does is it almost kills everybody in the city, or it does kill everybody in the city. So because gods exist based on belief, if you essentially get rid of an entire belief system, the god can't exist anymore. So that's why Arathis was locked away. Here's my theory. What if Halora was one of those mages?
And she's trying to make a body to bring her back.
Arathis?
Yeah. I mean, what
I
if she
mean,
was a
maybe.
follower of Arathis and she's like, Arathis is stuck in this other plane because her mortal body is gone.
But she would know Arathis is back because the Warforged turned back on.
But she didn't have a Warforged to turn back on.
Yes, she did.
She did.
She
Oh,
had
okay.
so the
If
Warforged.
Limerick is believed,
If Limerick
then
is to be
yes.
believed, because the Warforged that was
Because did he say he saw a living Warforged or he
No.
saw
Yeah.
a Warforged?
he said
Yeah.
he saw a Warforged, and then while he was there before he escaped, it turned on.
But at this point, she might be so corrupted she doesn't care anymore.
Well, maybe that. Okay, go Matt, go.
So
and then we have to keep going.
That's
on
where
but
my
yes.
thinking
Yes.
is I just want you to imagine you're like a high wizard of Arathis.
Done. I'm there.
I don't know what that looks like. Like you're not maybe like a cleric, but
Long,
like
6'2".
flowing robes. Yeah. 6'2".
Yeah.
Cool scar across
Yeah.
my eyebrow. Wicked neck.
No. You're her. You're Halora. Halora.
Oh, I'm Halora?
Let's imagine
Oh,
that
okay.
Halora
6'2",
is an excellent.
wicked scar across my eyes, sweet neck tats.
Like a tight swimmer's bod. But
Go, Matt,
deft
go.
fingers.
We have to get
'cause
the
I'm
lore
also
eventually. Go.
magic.
No, this is great. So you are at this point a very intelligent but mortal wizard.
Yeah.
And this war happens and everybody dies because you're one of these wizards. Like everybody's gone but you. Everybody is dead. Arathis is lost. What do? Is it not like a very reasonable next step to be like, this is gone. I'm going to take what I can and I'm going to start a little like move off so that I can continue my study and grow, and maybe it's the intention of bringing Arathis back, or maybe it's like that's gone and it's just pain and like powerlessness to save those things that you care about that bring you to this. But you
If she
end
was
up
a cleric and she lost her cleric abilities,
Oh shit.
and she's trying to like get the cleric magic, right? Like that's what all of this feels
shit.
like. What if she was a cleric and she lost her cleric magic, and now she's like, I need my magic back?
And where do you go when you're desperate?
To all the gods, and none of them want her.
And where do you go when you're desperate? Evil
Secrets.
shit.
secrets.
Oh.
And so
Oh.
I love the idea that you don't even have to be like say that she was not moral, but I love the idea that she was like a good, moral, reasonable person who like over years, like thousands of years, in accruement of power to deal with the trauma of what happened, twisted and developed and sacrificed that morality slowly over time unintentionally towards becoming what we see now.
And we know that belief, strong, like wholehearted belief in a being can keep them alive. And we know that that's happened with Arathis before because Lillian Tarark, the high priestess who gave Kokenee past the, high priestess onto him, she'd been alive for like 2,300 years. Cogman had been essentially keeping her alive. So Halora doesn't have a Cogman, so she's just trying to keep herself alive. Matt, please.
There are 4 people that we know of that have had a relationship with Arathis and have lived an incredibly illogically long time.
Nissa.
Torin.
Yep.
But we're going to write Torin off because that was an alcohol and being frozen thing. But Nissa
Yeah.
lived to is 400 years old.
Yep.
No lichiness, just being around what, Emma?
Aerolite.
What kept her alive?
Aerolite. And Arathis.
Aerolite and Arathis. So this would be and then also the high priest prior to Kokenee.
Lillian Tarark.
Stayed alive for thousands of years. What do we find a lot of here?
Aerolite.
Aerolite. Shit. I'm like watching
What's
Tim
up with
for
Aerolite, dude?
I'm watching
I
Tim
love
for
this-
any movement, and he's just
I love
sitting,
this idea.
playing video games, smiling on the couch.
I love this idea of like her, you know, being this cleric who was sent to this outpost. I don't think she's necessarily the mage from the city, but she's sent to this outpost. She's like over there, like maybe they've caught the guy who has Vecna's hand, maybe they haven't yet, but she's there. And then Arathis disappears and she loses her magic. And she loses it, and now she wants it back, and she tries to like figure out how the gods give magic. And she's got this dude who's like, I'll give you secrets. And so she starts asking him questions, and he starts being like, you don't fucking need the gods to have your magic. You don't need them. And so she's like, okay, let me figure out why clerics have magic.
Emma, how old is arcane magic as opposed to divine and primal?
Tim, how old is arcane magic? Because it wouldn't it like
Just a second, we have to ask God.
in relationship to like the nature-based and divine magic in like it's like the third eon, isn't it? So like and sorcerers came first, then wizards. So it went right. So over 5,500 years old.
Oh, okay. So not recent history. I just want to say, little detail, we all know it, but really gives credence to this whole she was a Caraxian. All her notes are written in High Tongue.
Yes.
Or like we know she's at least proficient in High Tongue.
She can speak
to
High
like
Tongue.
scrawl it in her own little
and
business.
It's her right. Like, I love this shit. Okay, we have to start. We've gone well over time, but I think it was.
But
well
we've
worth
just
it.
started figuring it all out.
Yeah. We're not decompressing last episode.
like
We're
one-
like
Putting
paving the
pieces
way.
together.
I have one little thing.
Yeah, do go.
Matt.
And it's just a little, it's not that important. All it is imagine that your god has disappeared. They haven't seen you haven't seen them die, but it's just disappeared.
Okay, wait, let me picture it. I got my tight swimmer's bod.
Yeah.
6'2".
There
You
is
got
our
a
god.
tight swimmer bod, the scar,
I'm
6'2".
I'm experiencing hot nihilistic girl summer. I'm
Yeah.
living my best
Yep.
life. Meaning has been
Yep.
drained of the world. Okay, I'm there. Keep going. I'm 6'2".
So you're a wizard.
Okay,
6'2"
wait,
scar, all of that. Who had
Wait.
been- yeah.
No, keep going.
So you what happened? Like what could happen is you were sent to build this outpost up in Garyang for what reason?
Expansion?
This is a super what can you find here that you can't find anywhere else?
Magnets.
Boom.
Saracite.
So she's a wizard who is here studying on
With
behalf
magnets.
of Caradoc. The magnetism. This is a super logical spot to set up a research lab.
Or it's if the magnets help you keep the hand of Vecna in check, it's a super good spot to send
This
like to
fucking
have
guy.
a prison for the Vecna.
Maybe she's just a
But
warden.
so-
I don't know. Go ahead, Matt.
But
Was.
so
Maybe
my
she was
my
just a warden.
my thought here is this direction is she already had this place built, which is why she wasn't in Caradoc when all this happened. She finds out that her god, who's like the leader essentially of this city and like her people, has disappeared. And you are somebody who is very powerful and you're very confident in your own abilities. the first thing you try to do is find out where she's gone.
Yeah.
In which you would need somebody who has access to a lot of secrets.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Or
Oh,
counterpoint.
Or
Counterpoint.
unless
A god disappears, creating a space for a new one.
wait. Nah. Wait,
I'm
what?
just saying.
Are you
I'm
saying
saying-
a Unity situation?
No. I'm saying,
Nah.
what if
What if?
there was a vacuum created and she was like, oh, someone needs to step in to take Arathis' place.
A vacuum.
I can do that.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this.
You think she's trying to ascend?
Well, I'm saying that could be her, like, her plan
Long-term
or her
plan?
long-term plan.
She
I think
could be try-
vacuum is a pretty fun
Vacuum is
word.
pretty good.
Vacuum
I
is
don't
funny.
think.
Great.
Vacuum is
Thank
fun.
you. Hey,
Patenting.
I think we've firmly gone down the potential lore rabbit hole.
I love it.
I want to get through at least half an episode of lore. I want to talk about Jar. Have we completely forgotten that this is the episode where we introduce Jar, the
Sweet
most
baby
beloved,
Jar.
sweet baby fucking arsonist in the making? Like, let's dig into it.
Okay, let's roll that intro. We're rolling the intro.
Like theory crafting.
Well, listen,
And
if
we're
it's
back.
better
think
than
it's
And
what,
we're back. We're back.
if it's better, I just want to say
She's
this.
6'2".
Matt was just saying. Matt was just saying, if our theory is correct, it's a great story. All I want to say is, if it's better than Tim's story, I hope that it's now the story.
Tim
This is the writer's
listens.
workshop. This is the writer's workshop for the future episodes. Because
I
it's
sort
all
of
scripted.
sometimes feel a little bit bad that we're theory crafting, being like, I hope we don't get it right, because that would be like Tim sitting there like, oh darn,
No, I think
they
I
figured
think
it out too early.
Tim has always when we've been talking about it, like, and he'll be like, "What did you talk about on chatwater? What did you talk about?" And then because if he hasn't been able to watch because of like our internet, or he's been working or something like that, he'll be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I don't know. You gotta go watch. You gotta go watch the episode." And you know, and I always ask, and then after he watches it, I'm
That's
like,
how
"Did we get it right?" And he's like, "I don't know. Maybe you got some parts of it." And I'm like, I like almost explode inside. Okay, so I'm gonna do some announcements super quick.
Yeah.
And you got to draw. What are you drawing today?
I do. Okay, I'm taking requests. I'm I like drawing the D&D characters. I like us.
I want Callie.
Um,
I want you to draw Callie.
Callie.
No.
what-
You should draw Jar. Draw Jar.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. 100%. Okay.
Big thank you to our sponsors, Legendcraft, a nerdy woodworking company from Calgary, and Silverwing Armory, selling paper products for all your RPG gaming needs. Check them out, and if something tickles your fancy, enter the code Blackwater for a discount. Legendcraft has a new Kickstarter where they're part of the Make 100 campaign. They're making D2s, like flip coins that double as an 8-space tracker for whatever you need. Type !Legendcraft to get in on the action. Love, as always, to our dice goddess, Keisha. Check her out at fairydragon_dice, and our amazing campaign artist, Tiana Kovacevic. You can find her at miss._Marston here on Instagram. Their commissions are open, so go get art of all kinds made by them. Our Discord, lovely, amazing, wonderful, sweet, beautiful place. Type !Discord to find the link and come hang out. But while we're streaming, come hang out here with us, because that's where all the cool kids are. Also, we are doing awards for 1 year of being on the internet, which will be happening in March, called the Gravelies. So if you want to get involved in the Gravelies, head on over to our Discord and join, and then go participate in round 1 of voting. You are voting on the 10 extra categories that we will be having. There will be 20. There will be an awards show. We're all going to be there. It's going to be a great time. So go vote in the categories that you want, and we will be posting round 2 in about 4 days' time. So a big thank you to the folks who subscribe to us. Don't forget to re-up your subscriptions if they don't roll over. We also have a coffee if you'd like to donate above and beyond a subscription. We're also just really thankful to have you here. It's like a wonderful thing that we get to do. We look forward to doing this week after week. So thank you for being here and being involved. Lore Club, want to get involved in chronicling our amazing history from the beginning of the campaign till now? You do. I know you do, because that's why you're watching Chatwater, our amazing mod, the new experience network, who is probably in the chat right now, right now, has set up an unbelievable project that you can get involved in. Type !lore and it'll take you to a Google form so you can get started. This is the last few days to watch our charity stream that we did about a week and a half ago up here on Twitch, and then once it is done, it is gone. Once the 2 weeks are up, it will not be on Twitch any longer. We raised $2,200 for the Catherine Wade Home and Wellness Center, which was $700 over the goal we set. Amazing. If you donated and you did not receive your copy of the game, but you wanted to, please send us an email at blackwaterdnd@gmail.com, and we will send you a copy of the PDF of the game. Programming this week, obviously we're here tonight on Chatwater Wednesday. The lads of Blackwater will be back for Behind the Screen, talking to Cody from Dungeon Master's Diary on Instagram and TikTok. He's a map maker and DM extraordinaire. So excited to have him on the show. Please come with your questions. They will be answering lots of questions from the chat, so we're looking forward to having you. And of course, we're back on Saturday for our main campaign. This is also Black History Month. Fuck yeah, we love Black History Month, and we encourage folks to continually spend time educating themselves and honoring and investing in BIPOC creators of all forms, whether that's art, literature, academia, and or D&D, whatever community that you're a part of. Please invest in BIPOC creators. We also have a really exciting announcement that we're going to be talking about in about a week and a half that I'm so excited to drop on ya. So please stick around and hang out. And in a couple weeks, we will be sending that over to you. So lastly, whether you're new with us tonight or you've been with us for ages, thank you so much for your support. We love you immensely, and we're so happy to have you here at our table. So let's dive into the past, shall we, after Sean's art along moment.
Okay. There's a lot of versions of this, and I'm not proud of this one the most, but it is the one that I can show. This is Jar next to a 6-foot ruler. You can clearly see she's a little taller. I would estimate about 6'2". A very long neck, suitable for swimming.
Everyone knows those swimmers got long necks.
Absolutely.
I'll show you what I did the first time. Because I really wanted to lean into the swimmer's pod.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought that was a bit perverse for like a 9-year-old girl. So I went for someone less Chris Hemsworth shaped. But I don't know. Now I'm kind of liking this one again.
I like that she's got like 6 hairs.
That's if Jar becomes a barbarian rather than a...
We love a Jarbarian.
A Jarbarian. Okay, so last time we talked about lore, it was the Elemental Chaos arc, parts 1 to 4. If you haven't seen parts 1 to 4, stick around here for part 5, but then catch 1 to 4 either at on History and Lore here on Twitch or in our History and Lore section on YouTube. And so we managed to navigate the self-destructing Great Factory of Shinkik, discovering an underground ancient Caraxian workshop that Nissa Timbers had been using, and we watched her leave in a war mech, rising up out of the ground and marching towards Faway Tavar. Kokenee prays to Arathis for the first time with Neppy's help, and the two of them share another moment early on in their path towards being together, even though that wasn't really a thing at that point. We then follow towards Faway Tavar in the wake of the mech and interrupt Nissa's execution at the hands of Zakis of Saral, who is the headmaster of the Thexan Academy and the leader of the beings prophesied to release the primordial titans and their chaos into the world. And with Neva and Kamea's help, we find shelter in a safe house, and that is where we left off. So,
Nice.
I mean, I had high hopes for 3 episodes, but
Speed run, because we have talked about Jar before, so I know more or less. I know it's in like. Do we want a spoiler alert? Because I can just roll through how fucking Jar happened.
We did Jar with Len.
We did a bit of that, yes, but we do have one episode.
This is where it all comes together.
Before that, so that's episode. So we're going to start with session 16, which is No Safety Between Safe Houses on March 3rd of 2019. Sean.
Let me know when you get to jar, because I'll hop in.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll hop in right now. So you discovered this abandoned Olympic-size swimming pool, and there was this individual. They looked tall, maybe about 6'2", just pounding laps.
So we're in a safe house in Fawe Tavar with Neva, and Kamea has joined us. And so Torin and Kokenee had just returned from essentially beating the shit out of a bunch of guards and like trying to throw off the scent to where we were. So Matt, did you want to start or do you want me to?
Take it away.
Okay, so Neva and Kamea discuss our plans in the safe house. Kamea has our other sending stone, so we give one sending stone to her and we keep one with us. And she's set to travel with the convoy. So there was a convoy that was heading with the body of Mergen Riza, the general who had been assassinated, that Zakis had tried to pin on Nissa. So they're heading back to take Mergen Riza's body back to Wolfreen. So Kamea is supposed to head with that convoy, and Zakis is supposed to head on that convoy as well. We hold in the safe house for a time and then we pop off because we're like, we can't stay here very long. We have to try and like intercept this convoy, or we have to do something because we still have to like try and figure out a way to get out of the city. So we leave the safe house, and Torn and Kokenee again go around and are just fucking wrecking guards. There's just like pinball they're just ping, 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 ping. They're down all over the place. And we make it to an alcove with Kokenee staying back with Neppy while Torn drives away the guards, and then he goes off on a run. We end up moving to another safe house. We meet the father of one of our very, very early traveling companions, our Veldis, who was the sorcerer that we traveled with in the very first couple episodes. We meet his dad, Arvendis.
Cool.
He says, "Oh, like you look like the folks my son was traveling with. Where is my son?" And we're like, "Oh, well, he's not with us. He's gone to the Feywild." And he's like, "Oh, come in my house. Come in my house. Like the town is a wreck right now. Please come in." So we managed to hunker down in there. Yana is still not with us. Yana is out with Nissa at this point. So it's Kokenee, Neppy, Torin, and Callie is not back with us at this point. So it's just the three of us in the safe house. Torin doubles back. They hold up there for the night. Kokenee essentially keeps his gun trained on the door for the whole evening, and they just switch up watches to make sure nobody comes inside. Meanwhile, Spooky heads back out into the streets to try and blend in and make it back towards the safe house that we're in. We give her directions to get there, but she gets captured and starts being taken to the city square by an elf with a skullet. Just like an elf, like a gross elf dude who just started, was part of the guard and just started dragging her back towards the city square. But she runs into Kern Burnman.
Hell yeah.
Kern Burnman is like, "I will take over her transport. Thank you. I have it from here." And so he takes her towards the inner circle of the city, near the Thexan Academy, and drags her up into an office for questioning. And he throws the guards off the scent. Mira and the King Evard's daughter is there with him. So once they get Spooky safe, they send to Neva, and Neva makes her way to the Oak and Acorn Tavern, which is where Nissa is held up. And Nissa start to make their way through the city. They pass the Goliath woman with the stone necklace, who is one of Zakis's, the other four. And Nissa is disguised, and they manage to sneak past. And they rendezvous with Kern and Yana at the ambassador's residence. So now, in that residence, we have Kern, Mira, Yana, and Nissa and Neva. So those folks are there, and we are kind of in the safe house on the other side of town. Kern takes his leave to keep from drawing notice. Kamea joins them in secret for diplomatic reasons, and then they actually use a scroll of Zone of Truth on Nissa to get out of her what happened and why she attacked Fawe Tavar with the mech. So Nissa talks about everything that has happened with everything she's found, the vision she's had with Arathis. She talks about how Zakis needs to be stopped and that the four of them are going to bring the end of days. And Kamea is wrecked by this. She's like, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous. You didn't kill Mergen Riza, who did?" And this is "I'm pretty sure it was Zakis. I'm pretty sure he's taking out the heads of Wolfreen one by one to try and, go forward with his plan." So Kamea is like, "Okay, well, Zakis is going to be traveling with a convoy. At least I'll have an eye on him." The Goliath woman's name is Kiva Flinthand. So she's going to be traveling with this convoy. And then the elven pair that are traveling with them, the brother and sister named Kanan and Dara. And Zacchus has plans to go talk with Queen Thealia in Wolfrene to like say all of the stuff that's happened and try and position himself as a like very prominent person. Kamea fears that the Queen's life may be in danger. Like if he's picking off people who are important in Wolfrene, he could go after the Queen and try and take over Wolfrene as well. So we figure out all of their whereabouts via sending, and Neva comes to meet us and wants us to get us back to the sewer. So Neva's going to take us to the sewer, then she's going to double back to the Thexan and go with Yana, because Yana wants to snoop around the Thexan Academy while Zacchus isn't there. He's not in the city, so Yana's like, I can do this. I'm like the wizard with the party. I'll be able to blend in and I'll be able to get my way through it. So Neva's like, okay, I'll take you back. So Neva is saving our butts at this point. She's ferrying us around the city. And that is the end of that session. So that's the speed run of session 16. Now, because I know we wanted to talk about Jar, so I'm speed running through that. So now, session 17, the girl in the sewers. Did we play back to back those days? Oh no, we played a week apart. So this is when we first started playing a week apart. So this is March 10th, 2019. Matt, take it away. Go.
Okay, so we see Neppy, Torn, and Kokenee meet up with Neva at Avendus's house.
Yeah.
Arvendus. As she guides us towards the sewer, returning a sending stone dust so that we can continue to communicate with Yana, and then she doubles back to get Yana and Nissa out of the city. We enter the sewers, we travel for a little bit, and suddenly hear a rumble from above as Callie drops into the sewers.
Hey!
Yeah, so Lennon had taken a break for a couple sessions and then was finally able to come back. So, and they had meant Callie had basically been like popped to the Feywilds for reasons unknown as of this point. But then when Lennon came back, it made sense that Callie had been tracking us for the whole time, and she popped back in. Yeah, and we're very overjoyed, happy to see her.
We're so happy to see her.
So
it's
happy.
Great.
We're like, our paladin's back.
We continue through the sewers fighting. So happy. Oh, yes.
It was so nice.
Fighting our way through traps and a large gelatinous ooze. Down in a tunnel, Torin finds a small elven child who is heavily scarred across her face and has sustained some acid burn damage.
Let me fucking flex on what I remember from talking to Lennon. You didn't just find an elven child. You didn't just find an elven child. You found bad traps first.
Yes,
we
did.
Poorly constructed traps. The kind a child would.
Tiny little
fucking
traps.
Torn follows his nose. And he's like, I smell child, and I am apparently paternal now. And he like discovered a bond with this child and his own lost family. And yes, you're right, Matt. She was covered in acidy scars. Yeah. And the party's like, who did this to you, little girl? And she said, the stinky man. The stinky man is the one what did it, right? Or bad guy around the stinky man?
No.
There's a stinky man. I know.
There
no,
is,
okay.
Yes.
That is the extent of my knowledge.
So
bad traps in a child.
Jar had been we figure out a little bit later. I'll just say now. So Jar had been down the service. She's the important thing about Jar is that she's high elven, which are considered the lower born race of elves in the city. Wood elves are the higher born folks, and high elves are the lower born folks in the city. So she is covered in acid burns about half of her face and down onto her shoulder. And she's been left there, and her only possession is a silver ring that has got little leaves on it, that unlike the rest of her is totally clean. She doesn't know how long she's been down there, and she talks about how she's waiting for her parents. And she's just like created a little home, like a little hovel for herself in the sewer. And you're right, she does talk about the smelly man, who is big and mean. She also talks about the sleeping man, who is also in the tunnels. And we like hide her for safety, and we say we'll go investigate and come back to find her. And Torin and Neppy and Callie are instantly like, this is a child. We must protect this child right now. Because Torin had a daughter her age. We estimate that she's about 7 or 9.
I say Torin, Neppy, and Callie. Kokenee was because I was about to say Kokenee could take or leave it, but we do know that Kokenee has some kind of a complicated relationship with children that we haven't explored, so I imagine that was just you role-playing, but I imagine that also saves it for the table, because we don't actually know too much about that, and I love that at the table. Yana was take it or leave it then?
No, Yana was also very
Oh,
taken
okay.
with her, but there was like
But
an
she
immediate-
was off investigating.
But Yana wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's off investigating the.
Then you're all very good people, except for one of you has a complicated relation with children, which I'm excited to learn about at the table.
Yes. Okay, go Matt, go. Oh, is he on a delay? No, there he's
Yes. So we. Yeah, I'm here. We travel further through the tunnels and we fight the rot troll, who we find out to be is the smelly one. Who has made a gross hovel in the tunnel. There's
Nice.
also a severed hand that was forcing us to make wisdom saves, and a translucent gross ooze. We get rid of all of them. So we go back and get Jar, and travel further into the sewers.
Yeah.
What do we think we find next, Sean?
Ooh, I don't know what happens after Jar. What do you
Just
find?
because you feel confident.
No. I felt,
Yeah, and
I
so you
felt
can get
really
in on this too
confident
if Sean
about
doesn't
the
actually
smelly
know.
man business.
What did you guys find after
So
Jar?
we do know that there is the sleeping man.
Oh yeah, he's a dead guy.
Oh, we haven't discovered the sleeping man yet? Yeah, dead guy.
in
dead
like
guy.
a
Not
in like a hovel or something. In like
dead,
a little
not sleeping.
little place. Like he looks like he's sleeping, like he's laying down on a bed, but he's.
But the exciting thing is not that the man is dead, but what the dead man has on his person. And do you know what that is, Em?
Of course I do.
Good, why
course
don't
I
you
do.
tell us so that we're all on the same
Hold
page?
on. Let me guess. It was. I don't know. A key?
No. Matt, do you want to keep going or do you want me to jump in?
I got this. So as we approach through the sewers, we stumble upon a bunch of jail cells. And we find the sleeping man inside one of them.
And yes, he is. Dead.
Nice.
He is dead, and
Nice.
he is wearing robes
Ooh.
that look like they're from about the same time period as Torin. Very old robes. I know.
So old.
So old. There's also upon them a symbol of. You want to guess?
Rathis.
Worse.
Bad God.
Bad God, Vecna. But
Got
Bad.
Vecna on the brain.
the other bad one, there's so many bad ones. I don't know who's relevant to
Chain
this
to Blade?
thing.
Yes.
He's not a god.
Oh, Shanna
Change the
Bavon.
blade. There's Dune. But we didn't know that at the time. We didn't roll high enough to figure out what that was.
What the symbol is.
And Torin says that he recognizes it, but he can't quite put his finger on it. So we make our way out of the sewers and make a little camp in the woods. We talk to Jar touch more, and Neppy looks at her wounds, which are healed, but it's acid damage.
Yeah.
She talks about how she was curious about the magic school, and that she had snuck inside, that Jar had snuck inside of the magic school. We figure out that Zach has caught her and then used her as an example in front of magic class to teach the spell Acid Splash.
Oof.
Once her parents found out, they feared retaliation for what she had done and abandoned her in the sewers, promising Jar that they were going to look after her and that she was safe and to await the arrival of the other group.
Yeah. So her parents just left her there. And we were just like,
But her parents said they would come back.
no, they didn't. They said to wait
No.
for her, wait for them. And they never came back.
What if
Team,
they
you know
got
what's coming
captured?
down the pipe like 10 years from now when Jar's like 19 years old? She's gonna want to track down
I know.
her like abandoning parents. Oh, it's gonna be
But
so
listen,
bad.
they might not have abandoned her. They might have hidden her, and they might have been caught. Or, you know, there's nothing to say that they didn't come back because they didn't want to. They might not have been able to.
Either way, that little girl's got some issues with that are probably gonna need to be resolved when she is like able to do so.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the type of questions that Jar is gonna be asking herself when she, comes to adulthood. Oh, that's heavy.
Yeah. So they like this.
This will be 19 years later.
Yeah. This poor.
Or not
sweet
19,
little
like
girl
15 years later.
Just left in
So
the
we'll for sure be
sewers.
like level like 16 by that point. So
And like,
It's my favorite joke.
and like when we all like, when Tim shared that as Jar talking about, like, because Jar was telling us that she went into the Magic Academy, and Jar told us that they'd put her in front of the class and that she had like it hurt, and she had like something hit her and splashed onto her and it hurt. Like there was 4 of us who were just like in tears in my living room, like seething with rage and anger at a person who doesn't exist, Zacchus. We were all so mad. And we were just like, and then I think Lennon looked at me and I don't know if it was Lennon saying to Emma or Callie saying to Neppy, was like, we're going to take care of her, right? And I was like, yeah. Oh yeah. Like we're taking her with us. Absolutely. We're not leaving her here. So yeah, we like get Jar out of the city and we just like there's some stuff that happens with her in a little bit. But if we can that's 2 sessions. That's 2 sessions done. We just did 2 sessions.
Done?
Of
Great. All right.
Now
Come
we can
back
derail away from
Wednesday.
No.
We've
We
got
can
behind the
squish in one more.
screen.
We can
Come
squish
back.
in one more. We can squish in one more. This one's really important. It's one
There's
more.
been chatwater. Matt, I guess we'll have to get you back for next week.
Oh my gosh, do I have to come back another time?
I guess you're gonna have to.
No, fuck it. We're doing 3. Okay, so we're going to cut to session 18, which is called Taking Flight, which is on March 17th, 2019. So all of this stuff had happened with the rest of the party. But now we need to get Yana out. Yana's still in the city with Nissa, and we need both of them out. So we cut back to Yana and Nissa in the like ambassador's quarters. And she's explaining the end of her visions to Kamea, and she talks about her final vision, which was a dark, unbelievably huge being rising from a crack in the earth with a creature flying over it. Talks about a dragonborn with 2 curved blades and a blue-skinned figure with a trident. And we're like, oh shit, we've seen a blue-skinned figure with a trident. We're like, fuck, we've seen one of these 4. These are the rest of the 4. So we know that the figure flying overhead is likely Zacchus. We're assuming Kiva is also part of it, the Goliath. We know there's a dragonborn, and we know there's this blue figure who we're assuming was the Triton that we're looking for.
We got Doomwing. That's her name. Doomwing.
Yes. We will talk.
Banana Doomwing.
Doomwing. We will get there. So there's a knock at the door, and at this point, Yana and Nissa hide, and it's Kiva Flinthand. It's the Goliath at the door.
Ooh.
So she updates Kamea that the convoy will be leaving the next morning at first light. And she also updates Kamea that Zacchus is actually not going to be traveling with the convoy anymore. Because of what happened in the square, he didn't deem it safe for him to be traveling because he thinks he's too important. So he is going to actually travel via teleportation circuit to Wolfreen, which is within the Thexan Academy. So he's like, I'm not going to travel by the convoy. I'm going to take this teleportation circle. Kamea then rolls high enough. You know, Kiva's kind of like trying to get a sense on her. I guess Kamea's like, whether that's through insight or Kamea being deceptive, Kiva leaves with no suspicion drawn. Kern and Mira then come back to the room, as they'll also be leaving via teleportation circle as well for Svelen. They're heading to Svelen from Vawi Tavar to head home. So they concoct a plan together. The plan is for Yana and Nissa and Neva to sneak through the Thexan Academy and to figure out what's going on in there that Zacchus has been hiding, and then rendezvous with the group as we exit the sewers, because we know that there's an exit for the sewers right behind the Thexan Academy, and if they can get up and out, they figure that's probably the best way to go. And Yana's like, Nissa and Yana are like, we can polymorph and fly off the building once we get up to the top. So that's the plan at this point. And Kamea says, okay, I will accompany Kern and Mira to the teleportation circle to see them off, to keep up the ruse that everything is going as planned. Yana and Nissa and Neva then make a break for it through the Thexan. So we've got Group 1 and Group 2. So Group 1, Kamea, Kern, Mira. Group 2, Neva, Nissa, Yana. So we'll start with Group 1. Group 1 heads out, with Group 2 tailing behind, invisible, thanks to Nissa. And we follow Group 1 to the Thexan Academy, and we see Zacchus near the teleportation circle in the lower chamber of the Academy. Kern and Mira greet Zacchus, and he seems really, really excited to send them back home. Like, really excited to send them back to Svelen. So, Kern and Mira, with no magical abilities of their own, stand on the sigil, and Zacchus invokes teleportation circle magic. So Nissa, Yana, and Neva are watching this, invisible. What do you think they see?
Oh, I know this one because I know where this goes. He doesn't do teleportation magic. He does plane shifting magic. He sends them to the Scar, don't he?
Yes, he do.
Oh, beans.
No one wants to go to the Scar.
So
I do.
That's why you wanted to leave so bad.
Nissa notices that something is immediately not right, but is unsure of what's wrong. So Kamea is watching, and she obviously can't, she knows that they're there, but can't say that they're behind her. So she also sees Zacchus is very, very excited. She thanks Zacchus and she takes her leave, with Group 2 watching Zacchus as he steps aboard the sigil to teleport himself to Wolfrine. He says, "Now that those two are disposed of," and then he's gone. So he, yes, had sent Kern and Mira to the plane of Earth with plane shift and not back to Svelin. He had just sent them there to get them out of the way as well, because they knew too much. Because he's a bad
Fair.
dude. So the group 2 that are there, Nissa, Neva, Yana, can't reveal themselves as there's guards around. So they sneak into another room, down some stairs, and it seems to be a torture chamber. Nissa recognizes it. It's the same one that she was in when she was tortured by Zacchus, because Zacchus tried to extract information from her and she didn't give any. She's overcome and throws up, and loses concentration on the invisibility. Thankfully, there are no guards in the room. However, there is someone in the room. Who do you think it is?
Fun new character. Or here, give me this. Fun new character or surprising reemergence of a beloved older character.
Fun new character.
Fun new character.
And I'll put it this way. It was a PC. Not an NPC.
Player character in the room, because
it
let me
was
check the notes.
Tim's mom.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. It's Chi!
Yes, so Chi is strapped to the table. She's also an eagle Aarakocra, female wearing different robes and bearing a symbol that we'd seen before. The Air Primordial, whose name is...
Oh, God, I know this one. Caraxins is a fire primordial.
Yep.
That's the big one.
Yep.
Got the stone wolf.
I just hate the fact that chat has already put it in there 6 times.
Here's the thing. I know it sounds like Evasian, but that is from Magic the Gathering, and it is a different thing entirely.
It starts with an A.
Yeah. Grande.
It's Aarakocra.
Final answer, Aarakocra Grande.
Akadi.
That is my next bar. Aarakocra Grande for sure.
Oh my God, it's Akadi.
Akadi.
Yes.
Jesus.
So they speak to her, and her name is Chi. She's a cleric of Akadi, and Zacchus was trying to siphon her power, so he could strengthen his connection to the air magic. Chi believes Zacchus is incredibly dangerous, and that he's trying to harness all of the elements for destruction. Chi believes that
could you tell me the thing one more time? I know you said the name of the thing.
Akadi.
Akadi. All I could think was Aarakocra Grande. Sorry. It's Akadi. It's Akadi. Sorry, I'm just out. Yanis, we've been asked a number, because Groombar is the earth one. I forget the water one, but that's what's important. Istitia. But right. But the air one we've been talked enough. We need to come up with a fun mnemonic device to remember, Akadi, they so naughty. That's actually not bad.
Yeah, but it doesn't have anything to do with air elemental.
Well, maybe because she's like stinky air. Maybe she's like a naughty fart. I don't know. Look, this is what I'm saying. We got to do this back and forth. If we can't remember this, that's on us. We're bad.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Give me something that rhymes with Akadi. That's gonna associate it. Air elemental. Akadi, Dugatti. Driving with the top down. Akadi, Dugatti.
Feel the wind in your hair.
Dugatti. Driving with the top down. We got there. All right.
Great. Well done. So they free her from
Bugatti, driving with the top down, feel the wind in your hair.
Yeah. Feel the wind in your hair.
And what is Akadi's iconography? Like what?
Bugatti? It's the car?
What is
Oh,
she?
what's a Ducati? Am I making
Ducati
things
is a
up?
motorcycle.
Yeah.
Whoa, I know about as much about cars as I do our
So
gods.
what type of do you have a sense of what type of creature like or Akkadi is often like the iconography is?
Well, I mean, it's gonna be like a really fast car, top down, wind in your hair. Bugatti.
You're combining Ducati and Bugatti
Really, the
become
ultimate vehicle
Okay,
Bugatti.
when
we're
you think
moving
about
on.
it.
Akkadi is a winged serpent.
Yeah.
Akkadi is the winged serpent.
Like
Okay.
700 horsepower. Fucking rip that down the Autobahn. Feel the
So
wind in your hair. Akkadi Bugatti.
they bring Chi in on the plan to
Akkadi
potentially
Bugatti, the Viper that can fly.
Jesus Christ.
Actually, that's helpful. Now I know
That
it's
is
a winged
helpful.
serpent. Akkadi
Now it's a
Bugatti.
snake and it can fly, so it's air.
I've
Viper
taken
that
off
can
my
fly.
blazer. The wheels are coming off.
Oh, we doing it? Okay.
Tarps off, boys. Tarps off.
Welcome to fucking Chatwater After Hours. The tarps come off and the theories get wild.
Okay, we're almost done.
No, let's
So-
make up a
Whoa.
word for every letter of Akkadi.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have
Let's
time.
really break it down.
We for
Please
sure
let
I
me-
can.
always forget the
Air
water
Cobra,
one too.
Air Cobra,
Wait, no.
AC.
We got
Is it AC or AK?
Akkadi Bugatti.
Ah,
Akkadi
God
Bugatti, the Viper
Cobra
of
with
the
a K.
sky. But who's the water one? I always forget the water
Yeah, we gotta-
Istitia.
Istitia. Gotta miss ya. We don't like, cause I don't like being wet. I gotta miss you with Istitia.
Istitia.
Istitia. I got is gotta miss you. Matt, you can get involved in this
Yeah,
too.
get
I
him
think
on.
the more of us
Istitia.
who get on board with this train, the worse it'll be.
I mean, I'm always gonna remember Akkadi Bugatti, the Flying Viper.
You're right. Let's cut our losses.
No. We need
Okay.
to do at least the elementals.
Istitia.
At least the
Istitia.
elementals.
Only 4.
Istitia.
We've done
This
one.
is a project you need to do on your own time and
Istitia,
then come back and share it with me.
I stitch you because she's wet and wild. Yeah, because she's a water elemental. She's wild because she'll like stitch like Istitia gets stitches.
No.
Ooh.
Astitia.
Istitia.
Yes, Matt.
Need a Tisha.
Because you're
Because you're wet. But
'Cause you're
Matt
wet,
hasn't
'cause
said
you're crying.
anything, and I'm thrilled about it.
So good.
What was yours, Matt?
Astitia, in a dish, yeah.
I like Istitia need a
It's in a
tissue.
dish, yeah.
It's Istitia need a tissue.
I do too. I
'Cause of
felt
your
good
wet
about
and
mine,
wild
and then
nose.
Yana said his, and I felt
Yeah.
worse about mine.
I appreciate it, Tim. Istitia
Okay.
need a tissue. Yeah. 'Cause you're
Akkadi
so wet.
Bugatti, Viper with the
Akkadi
wings.
Bugatti, Viper of the Winds.
Yep.
Now
Garrix,
we
we don't forget because it's a great name. Garrix, because it's in my wait.
Yeah.
Garrix Flarix, because he's fired. Done.
Yeah,
Oh,
because he's fired.
easy.
Martin Garrix.
Broombar, get in my car. It's a
If-
Bugatti.
if
No,
you,
we can't. We
if you-
can't do 2 cars.
if you ever get these wrong again, I'm gonna lose my shit.
I like Groombar, get in my
Groombar?
car.
Groombar the armbar.
No, Groombar, get in my car.
No, we can't
The
have 2
Bugatti of the
cars.
Wind.
Can I please finish the session, please? Please let me finish this. Please let me out of this. I hate this
Goombar.
so much.
No, we found it. It's
Groombar.
Groombar, get in my
Get in
car.
my car.
Bugatti of the Wind.
For fuck's sake. You know, I came here to have
Okay,
a nice
hold on.
time.
Now I'm
then-
gonna hold on. Now I'm gonna try and repeat them back without the mnemonics. I'll do the
Thank you so
mnemonic
much.
part in my head.
Yeah. Wind one. Who's the wind one?
Air.
Akkadi,
Thank you.
Yep. Water one.
Istitia,
Why?
because you need a Tisha.
That's right. Fire.
Fire is well, I see you've
Yeah, we haven't
Garrix.
come up with a
'Cause
good
it-
one.
no,
All right.
no, it's
and we got
Martin-
one more.
Martin Garrix.
Who's Martin Garrix?
It's kind of like, isn't there a DJ?
All I think is Lou Garrix, but I don't think we want to go down that road.
No.
Okay, you have one more, and then we are moving on.
and Goombar get in my car.
Ooh, Garrix. Check this sick chair. It's part of my car. It's a Bugatti. It's adjustable.
Okay, so they free Chi
I
by
put
getting it
four
back on board.
wheels onto
Continuing
my
with
two
the
Is
chairs.
there a way
cars.
we can work Vin Diesel into this somehow?
Yeah. Garrix is
Do you know how
friends
easy
with
it would
Vin
be to me
Diesel.
for me to
Get in my
remove your
car.
visuals and your audio and just continue talking myself?
Then it would just be you screaming into the void instead of having such fun times with your.
Yeah,
with your
imagine how much fun you would be having if you
off-kilter
joined us.
friends.
Someone has
Yeah,
to
yeah.
keep this track on board.
We
Come
need.
in here.
Look, we
Come-
have nothing
the
good
water's
for Garrix
fine.
except for Garrix, my chair. It's attached to four
You
No,
can
wheels.
just
what-
It's a
there's-
Ducati.
remember
my
his
car.
name.
There's a
Play
DJ.
Play in
Name-
the space with us, Emma. Please.
Yeah, Emma,
No.
come play in the space.
Come
No.
play in the
With the
space.
Garrix.
Come play in the space with a Garrix.
Come
Just
to
one.
Garrix. Garrett.
Um,
My chair. It's attached to four wheels.
that's
It's a
all I can
Bugatti.
think of. Shut up. No, I can't have because Garrick's my chair. It's just in my head.
Garrix,
Garrix. Yeah.
Garrix, please don't starex at my Bugatti because that's what I'm like.
Garrix, let's share it. Let's share a ride in my Bugatti, the Viper of the Wind.
Okay, I am now moving on. I am done. I am moving on now. So they free cheat. Sean,
Garrick's
please.
hair is in the wind because I drive with the top down. Garrick's hair is in the wind.
No,
Top
but
down.
that doesn't
doesn't
rhyme.
I would like to do something else with my evening at some point, please.
Then you shouldn't have agreed to
Then
being
you should
a part of
then you
this.
should help us
Yeah,
come up
yeah.
with a better
Because we
Garrix
can't
rhyme.
move on until we find the Garrix. A Cadi Bugatti. A Stish you need a tissue.
Garrix has to do
Room
with
bar,
fire.
get in my
He's
car.
a fire dragon.
No, we need a fire one.
Good.
He's a
Then what's the
two-headed
fire?
fire dragon.
Yeah.
Garrix. Dragon.
Garrix. Garrix two larynx. Voice like fire.
Boom.
Great,
Garrix
fantastic.
two larynx.
Now we can
Garrick's
move on.
two
Thank you
larynx.
so much, Yanis. Okay,
These
so they.
brakes are screaming. Need to change my Bugatti.
I hate this so much. Okay, so they.
Garrix two
I'm just-
larynx. Not bad.
I'm just proud of that Sean's saying Bugatti instead of Bugatti. Like we've taught him about both a car and a
we're
motorcycle.
so late. What happens next? What are you
But-
doing? We have a schedule to keep.
She'd switch off her video, but then it would mess up the order, and that's the only reason she's still here.
So they free Chi, and they make a plan to
yeah.
escape with her to the top of the tower, where Chi could potentially help them fly down
All right.
again with the help of
Chi.
the polymorph from Nissa. No more.
No.
we're all
We
done.
just said the elementals.
We're all
Okay,
done.
We just said the
We
elementals.
did it.
Next episode, join us
Next
for
Next time we'll get more done.
Yeah.
Okay,
'Cause
so
I
they make
forget
their
all
way.
kinds of things.
They make their way to the top of the tower, discovering an alchemy workshop, a bunch of poison, and acid, which they assume is like where a whole bunch of wizarding stuff goes on. They decide to take what they can, and Nissa disguises herself as Zacchus in case they get discovered in the tower. So uses like disguise self to disguise herself as Zacchus. They travel up, and the plan goes awry very, very quickly because two upper level students find them and see Zacchus in the tower. And apparently, the culture of this school is very not great, obviously, assuming because Zacchus is the headmaster. They start like beating the shit out of each other with magic to try and impress Zacchus, because that's apparently
hell
what
yeah.
happens. And Nissa ends up using mass suggestion on them to get them to go away, just to leave, and like shames them. And as Zacchus is just like, you have disappointed me. You need to go now. And like the students are like, oh my god, and they just like leave. They pass a Zen garden room, which they don't investigate, and make their way up to Zacchus's personal chambers, which are at the very top of the tower. They find a weird like nest-like structure, because he's a bird person. So that's his bed. It's this weird nest-like structure, and they take some spell scrolls, a rare atlas, and some gems, and they find their way to Zacchus's balcony. Via Sending Stone, they confirm where they are with each other. Chi takes Yana, Nissa polymorphs into a giant owl, and they take Neva down as well. And Neva bids farewell with us to go back to get Kamea in the city. We all get down, and we meet Chi. We fill each other in on what happened, and Nissa can't shake the feeling that something is off when Zacchus sent Kern and Mira through the teleportation circle. And Neppy casts Sending to Kern. And they're somewhere dry, cracked, desert. Expanse. They've made a small camp, and they're going to go looking for supplies when they find shelter. And they ask us to please help. They're like, we don't know where we are. We see some, a cave that seems to descend down off in the distance, which we now know is the entrance to the scar. And she mentions that they might be on the earth elemental plane and tells us of the existence of other planes. The earth plane, which I hate that I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it. Who is the god of the earth elemental plane?
Get my car, Bugatti. Yeah. Get
Who
my
is
car,
the god
Bugatti.
of the airplane?
Akadi getting my Bugatti, the flying snake.
Who is the
Viper
god of
disguise.
the water plane?
Tisha need a Tisha.
And who
wet
is the
and wild.
god of the fire plane?
Garrick's with the 2 larynx. Voice like fire.
There we go.
Voice like fire. Screaming
It
brains my
works.
Bugatti.
It works, Em.
I
works.
never said it wouldn't work. It doesn't mean it wasn't an exceedingly painful process.
That's a scientific process. This is what progress feels
Yeah.
like.
Sure.
Come on, Em.
You know,
If you've been on board with this from the beginning, there would have been many times I wouldn't have looked like a complete idiot. With this makes up for it. People are gonna be like, "Damn, Yennis and Sean were smart with those suggestions."
So smart.
Bar, get my car. It's a Bugatti of the
sky. So we bed down for the night. Neppy and Callie are essentially like rocking Jar to sleep because she's like so overwhelmed. Like the trauma of like not being in a crisis situation anymore is hitting her. She's 9. She's just like essentially has cried herself to sleep. And Neppy is just like holding Jar in her lap while she's like just sitting there awake. Jar is passed out in her lap. So it was at this moment that I asked Tim if there was anything I could do about her scars. And Tim was like, you can't heal them because they're already healed. And then I asked him, I was like, what if I use life transference? What if I not to heal her, but to take them from her? So Neppy, Tim says, yeah, okay, roll for it. So I cast life transference on her, and I think it was Kokenee was kind of off a little bit in the distance, and Callie was Callie was like almost asleep next to her, and so Neppy cast life transference on Jar. I think I used maybe a 3rd or 4th level life transference, and the scars, it was almost as if they migrated. So like Neppy was kind of cradling Jar, and they migrated off of Jar's face and her ear and her shoulder, and they transferred up onto like half of Neppy's face, her ear, and most of her neck and shoulder. So Neppy
Does she still have those?
They'd faded. They faded now. But they were much more prominent at that point because it took 2 rounds of life transference for me to take all of them. And Jar's ear on that one side still isn't totally pointy. But it is, she doesn't have the scars on her face anymore. So at that moment, like, Kokenee, like, I think Tim was like to Kokenee, what are you doing? He's like, I'm watching this happen. And Neppy and Kokenee lock eyes. And they share this, like, long look with each other. And that, for me, was probably the first moment that Neppy realizes she had some sort of semblance of feelings for Kokenee. At that point. Because for me, it was like she wanted Kokenee's company. She's like, I want to talk to him. I want him close by, but I don't have anything to offer him. I'm not coming to him seeking to be a shelter for him in faith or to guide him in any way. I just want him here, and I don't know why. And that was for me a moment where, like, it was a dawning for Emma, where I was just like, oh, what are those? Why does Neppy have feelings for him? She has feelings for him? Okay.
Is this
now,
where
Matt,
you wanting to have all of your characters that you play get married in their respective campaigns?
No.
Because that's a trend of yours.
No. Saren had been married in our other campaign, but originally in this campaign for Neppy, I had like no relationship aims in mind. This moment for me felt really organic, and it was just like, oh, okay, Neppy craves his company and wants him around more so than the platonicness or the more so of the guidance of faith. I didn't know what that would turn into at that point, but that's what it was.
I gotta ask you, Matt, did you feel the same, or does Kokenee just never back down from a staring contest?
I have an outstanding answer to this that I'm very excited to share because I haven't shared it for a few episodes because I thought that it'd be better to share it now. Kokenee started falling for Neppy in Shinkik when they. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes, very clearly.
Your video might be a bit behind, but your audio is just fine.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, internet issues today. So Kokenee started falling for Neppy in Shinkik when she helped him pray down in Nissa's lab, and also when they sort of shared those moments outside of it when they were going to bed. But I had mentioned earlier that Matt, as a player, was under very clear understanding that Neppy was like a very asexual character, because that is how Emma had presented her at the very beginning of how we played the game. And so I was like, I think Kokenee is falling for her, and I think that that's not going to work because she's going to be entirely uninterested. But I think that's what he's doing. Like that's what's happening. Because he's never had a relationship like this, and it's deeply interesting and different and special to him. But I, as Matt, as a player, and also Kokenee, were both like, there's no way that Neppy would ever be interested in something like this. So it's just going to be like a little bit of like a sad story, I guess, where like he fell for the person who like couldn't date him and wasn't interested. And like that was what I was preparing to play as a player. I was like, I think that's sort of what's going to be happening here for like the 4 episodes between that and this. And then at this point, I remember Emma at the table being like, Neppy like has a look over at Kokenee for like maybe like a little bit too long. And I, as a player, I'm like, what is happening here? In a way that I was absolutely not expecting.
Yeah.
Kokenee was like oblivious to it because he doesn't really know how to flirt or get signals or anything like that because he's never done it before. But like Matt was like, you for sure said that this was not something that Neppy would be interested in. It was a very quick like change of brain here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is why it's kind of cool for me, because it was just like it was an organic moment for both of us for very different reasons as players, but also for our characters. And then I think you should talk about what Kokenee does next. It's the last bullet point there on the list.
Yeah, so Kokenee sits down and begins to write out in his Bible. He'd started it during the ceremony with Torin, but he takes this moment and sort of prays to Arathis and says, listen, talking to you, what I want to start filling this out with your history, because this is a document that is going to become valuable, and all of that stuff is gone, and I want to see how I can bring it back. And so he starts praying to her, and he gets a vision. And what he sees is a massive flying serpent in the clouds flying around a floating island. Sean or Yanis, who is this?
That flying viper, man.
That's got to be a Cotty.
Which is name?
Akadi's Bugatti, the flying viper.
Yeah, get in my car.
Well done.
No, you can't bring getting in my car is Goombar. Do not muddy the waters, Sean.
Wait. I thought of a new one for Goombar. Goombar, get in my car, like rubber on the pavement because he's plane of Earth.
Yeah, but
like,
you can't bring
on.
get in my car into Akadi.
I mean,
that's muttering the waters of our...
Akadi has a Bugatti.
This isn't
Bugattis
a
are meant to be
poem.
shared.
This
Hold
isn't
on,
a
hold on.
poem where they're
Let
all
me
part of
get
the
through
same.
Now you know how I feel, Matt. Now you know how I feel.
let me get through the last sentence, and then
now you get to know how we feel. Come, let's shit on Matt. He's
No.
trying to do something.
No.
Come do the sillies.
No.
What was that ice elemental called? There's still time.
No.
Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Please let us finish. Jeez.
Okay.
I have notes for this afterwards. Anyway,
Okay.
the Akadi
Yep, Bugatti, get in my car.
is sort of flying around the island where he sees Kokenee sees Arathis standing on the island during what appears to be a tense moment, lays down her spear. She and the serpent speak, and Arathis begs the serpent to stay out of the combat. Akadi says that she cannot because of her brother. Arathis lets out a sigh, and there's silence. There's a nod of acknowledgement between the two, and Arathis disappears with the vision ending. At the end of the vision, Kokenee continues to transcribing, and he completes about 30 pages of the book of this event.
Damn, 30 pages in one night. It's prolific.
So what do you think this was? What do you think this meeting between Arathis and Akadi was? What do you think it was about?
Well, that's the Dawn War, no?
Yes.
That's the, like, what are we going to do? Because Akadi's like, I got my Bugatti. She's like, please don't fight this. It's like, my brother Grimbar, I got to get in his car. We both have Bugattis. We gotta ride or die.
So in a way, you're not wrong.
You?
So we'll talk about this in a bit, and when we figure out a little bit more about the Dawn War. But essentially, Akadi was the last of the Primordials to join the Dawn War, and she only joined because her brother Grimbar did. So she didn't join because she wanted war. She wanted to go and protect her brother. So
Just couldn't stand to see a Bugatti get wrecked.
So Akadi,
they're expensive cars.
So Arathis was sent.
You're either in the Bugatti or out of the Bugatti.
Arathis is my
and
last
Akadi's
point.
In the
It's
Bugatti.
my last point. Please. Arathis was sent to try and convince Akadi to not get involved in the war, and she was like,
Arathis can't pass us. I'm in a Bugatti.
You're.
Em, are you a Stisha? Because it looks like you need a Tisha.
It's insufferable. Oh my god. So Arathis.
Melora to the Flora. They hit the gas.
No, Melora to the Flora. She's Flora
right
as
now.
plants.
Please,
That's a way better one. Em, do you remember when this was fun for you?
Do you remember when this was really fun for me? Do you remember when I had a really nice idea about how we do a show about the lore? Remember when that happened? It's not this time. That's not now.
Vecna, heck yeah, let's Florida. Got a Bugatti.
Viper in the sky.
Viper in the sky.
I will say this right now. The second Matt asked you to stop, you did.
Uh-huh.
So I'm asking you, give me 1 second to finish this lore, and then we're ending the episode.
Okay.
So Arathis begged Akadi to stay out of it. She's like, please don't enter the war. And Akadi was like, I have to go in for my brother. And so we'll talk about the ramifications of that in a bit, and we did talk about that in our episode where we went through the Dawn War, the Chatwater episode, which is also in the history and lore section, but there were big ramifications for Akadi and all of the Primordials for their involvement in the Dawn War, but Arathis and Akadi have always had a bond. And that's it. Other than the stuff between Kokenee and Neppy, that's it. I got nothing else. You have depleted me of any lore keeping ability that I have for the day. Gosh dang.
You've kept excellent lore.
Thank you so much.
That is the thing.
I've
Despite
tried
our best efforts, you've kept it incredibly straight.
Thank you. That's my role here. And I'm very, very committed to my role. That's our show. That's it. That's all I
got. The lesson tonight, audience, is that mnemonic devices are a powerful tool that must be respected. Because if you overuse them, you can deplete the willpower of your beloved lore keeper, and nobody wants that. Mnemonic devices, use them with discretion. Get my Bugatti.
But yeah, so we see more of the beginning of Kokenee and Neppy's relationship, and there will be more to come in the episodes that continue. So that's it.
I mean, we know that at the start of the episode, you're talking about how you're going to raise your kids. Like,
There has never been a conversation actually at the table about Neppy and Kokenee having children.
You got married a month ago. That's a little early, you know.
Month and a half.
Yeah, we don't want to be those guys.
Month and a
Yeah,
half.
at the wedding. Oh, when can we inspect kids? We
Yeah.
don't. That's not for us to.
There's never been an at the table conversation about them having children,
Okay.
though I expect it will happen at some point. But yeah, that's our
like
show.
next week when Sean's like, "Fuck, Letters needs to know now that we've talked about it."
Come back and hang out with us on Wednesday when the wonderful lads of Blackwater hang out with Cody from Dungeon Master's Diary, and then please come join us on Saturday for the main campaign, and then obviously next Monday where there's just more of this.
We're gonna put all the gods in Bugattis.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you there. Kiss, 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 kiss. That's how we end our show.
Gosh.